This is a scene in Bryce Canyon again. And what's wrong with it? Because we all do this. We see all of this beauty, and the problem is there's too much here. And again, those of you that have been with me on workshops, you know, I always ask you, what is it you're asking me to look at? What are you asking the viewer to look at? So I would ask myself, well, what was I thinking? What was I asking someone to look at? And I really wasn't. I was just capturing the whole thing and figure I'd deal with it later. So what are the problems? The colors are off a little bit. The orange isn't quite right. It's a little too creamsicle orange. It should be a little bit more red. Also, the highlights of some of the white hoodoos are a little bit too bright. Those are easy fixes. The problem is, where am I asking you to look? So we have to figure out a way to simplify the image that creates a more interesting photograph. So I'll create my virtual copy right now. And let's go back into the develop module. So we look at the histogram and it's great. There's no blacks, there's no pure whites, although some of these tips of some of these hoodoos are getting dangerously close to white. Let's hit basic and we'll bring the highlights down just to take some of the brightness off of those whites. Let's bring that. As far as color temperature goes, let's see if I bring this in more to blue and more to magenta. Nope, that's not it. Yep, it needed a little green. Who would have guessed? So again, what I'm after just getting kind of the colors better first. Then we'll deal with the biggest problem, which is what I'm asking you to look at. Let's go to hue, saturation, luminance. Click on hue and see if we can make this orange better. So if we push up, that makes it more gold. If we push it down, it makes it red. No, that's not really working for me. I think maybe just a smidge. And I'm going to cut to the chase and I'm going to add a little red into it. Also, the image looks slightly skewed. Looks like it's leaning a little bit. So let's hit R to bring up our crop tool and make sure that you pick a hoodoo that you know should be straight up and down. There's a line right there, something about like that. So what we need to do is simplify. We need to pick an area that kind of has a continuing theme that makes it one thing to look at. So I'm going to hit the R key again. And the thing is, there's actually probably a couple of different photographs in here you could pull out. I'm going to bring it up to about here and down. Don't need all of this stuff over on the right. I'm thinking something about like this. I need to simplify this. Do I need all the way over? Maybe about here. I think something like that might end up being interesting. And let's go back up to basic and add some more depth to this. I'm going to add some dehaze. There we go. It needed some deeper shadows. We can bring the blacks down a little bit. And we can go into detail and add some sharpening. So I'll add sharpening and I'll hold down the Alt key on the masking slider and then bring that over just so we're sharpening our edges. And then we'll put a vignette on it. So take a look and see how much more interesting this is than what we started with. So there's just too much to look at. So if I throw this whole thing at you, you don't know where to look. There's so many little details. You could pull so many different photographs out of this. So how about make it something that is more isolated. So we just did this. And this would make a really cool long horizontal print. Could you simplify further from here? You could. Although I do think that this works because we've limited the amount of the white pinnacles, but there is a continuity from left to right. And when you create this kind of shape of an image, you're forcing the viewer to look at it from left to right across. And by doing that, there are things that lead you in. You start here, you come in from the left, you now have this ascending ridge, and you've got a line that goes up. You can detour to these white pinnacles. You come up to this bright face. And then fortunately, over here, you've got some dark. And this dark over here forms a visual block that makes you hesitate from leaving the image and maybe bounce back in and explore a little bit more. So again, it's not just about the editing, it's about the composition and thinking about what's going to make for a more interesting photograph.